Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 14. Module 14 is where you're going to start drafting the stuff for your portfolio. The portfolio will be turned in Module 15. So you'll get the assignment now and you'll get to start working on it. In particular, you're working on what's called your final piece, which will be the last major assignment for the class. And that's what's going to go into your portfolio. It's going to be like the signature piece in your portfolio. And so we've got two assignments here to look at. The first one is the portfolio assignment itself. Now this is the one that's due in Module 15. So we still have a little while that we'll work on this. And it's mainly comprised of things that we've already done. So the two things that you have turned into the workshops, we revised. Hopefully you've started working on revising the short story and the poem that you submitted that you got peer feedback from. You'll be revising them based on peer suggestions as well as from instructor suggestions. And so you want to go back and look at all that feedback and make changes so we have a new and improved version of both of those pieces. And then you're also going to do a reflection on the portfolio itself. So fairly short, like one page, kind of talking a little bit about your final piece. And then what did you do for it? How did you feel about the project or product that you got out of it? And then what are some of the most important things that you learned about doing with revising, if it's related to your writing or if it's related to revising itself, and then anything that you want me to know about your portfolio as I go through it. So that's the portfolio assignment. The final piece itself is what we're working on in this module. And so in this module, you're going to complete a last writing piece. And it can either be a completely new project or one of the projects that you have already done that you're expanding and updating. So it could be, sometimes students will be writing, like one of their short stories is part of a longer work that they're working on their own. It might be something from one of your journals. It might be something that didn't really fit into one of the other assignments that you were writing. It might be maybe an expansion of your poetry. So maybe you wrote a haiku as the form poem, but now you want to write a series of haiku or something like that are all related to, one particular theme. So however you decide to do it, you're going to put together this final piece. So the final piece is there's a bunch of different requirements depending on what you're doing. So if you choose to do a poem, for example, you need to have at least 20 lines and at least 5 poetic elements. If you're doing some kind of fiction or creative writing, you have 1,000 words. Short stories need to have at least 2 characters, that kind of thing. And then a play as well. If you decide you want to do that, as maybe you did something different for your other genre piece, maybe you want to try a play, that's fine. The only thing to think about here with your final piece is that it's a little bit of a limited amount of time to write it because you do want to make sure you have time to get feedback on it. And so a rough draft of your final piece is going to be submitted in 2 places. First, you're going to submit to the online writing lab through BrainFuse, which is this link over here. And when you go into BrainFuse, you'll just go in, you'll submit and make sure that they know it's a creative work and then submit the file. And then once they respond, they'll respond back to you in BrainFuse. You'll download that file and you'll submit it here. So when you hit start assignment, the thing that you're submitting here is what comes back to you through BrainFuse. This doesn't go to BrainFuse right here. That's a separate website. So just keep that in mind. And the directions have been in the modules multiple times. So if you've never used BrainFuse before, make sure you do read those directions. And it's important that you get it done. If you want to make sure that you turn this in before the end of the module, so before the due date, I would say maybe Thursday at noon, if not earlier, would be a good time to submit, because otherwise they're not going to have enough time to respond to you. This is a very heavy time of this semester for students to be using the BrainFuse service. At the same time, so when you get your draft done, you can send it to the online writing lab. You can also upload it to this final piece workshop discussion board. I did change this assignment. Originally, it was just like the other peer edits that we've done where you had to meet a deadline and then Canvas traded them. I went ahead and changed this to a discussion board just because It'll be a little bit easier since we have less than a week for you to actually write the piece. That way, you know, people can kind of submit when they get it done, as opposed to having that specific deadline. Try to get it submitted by Thursday, though, if you want actual feedback. Otherwise, if you're the last person who posts and you post like Sunday at 11 o'clock, in the evening, nobody's going to respond to you because they've already finished all their reply posts. So that's up to you whether or not you want any actual feedback. So completing the peer edit is pretty simple. Is just submit your final piece first, but then you're going to go in and you're going to read two of your peers' works that they have posted. And if you need to, you know, access suggestions, we've done two workshops already. Two workshops already. So make sure that you're accessing your, you know, prior resources if you need them, if you need suggestions on what to comment on. I got a series of questions here based on the genre that you're reading. There's specific things to think about, and you don't have to answer really any of these questions if you don't want to, but you're going to make a list of at least 10 specific suggestions. And then the other thing to remember for this particular assignment, I am also looking at, there's an outcome in the class for whether or not you can critique other people's work. And so that is the outcome that I'll be assessing here. And that's one of those outcomes that you have to meet in order to pass the class. So it's really important that you make sure that you do this assignment. So that's the assignment itself, is just to do that. The two is just getting feedback from the two places. You won't turn in the final piece until the next module, and you're actually going to turn it in your portfolio. So you're not turning that in separately. And so then the portfolio is in module 15, and I'll go over that separately in the module 15 video. But if you have questions at all about this assignment, I know it's kind of a lot to think about during this week, but if you have any questions as you're going through it, be sure to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.